Hey everyone, my name is Jamie Lee. Welcome back to my channel. I appreciate you being here with me today to talk about menstrual cups. For those of you that don't know what they are, a menstrual cup is basically just an alternative to using a tampon or a pad for your period. It is a silicone, usually, cup that you insert into your vagina. It catches all the blood and then you can rinse it, so it's reusable rather than a one-time use thing like a regular tampon or pad. So before we get right into it, a little bit of information about me personally. First off, disclaimer, obviously everything I'm going to talk about in this video is only my own personal experiences with the cup and the Diva Cup specifically, which is what I have and I've had for a couple years now. I do have very regular periods because I've been on birth control for about 7 to 8 years. So I know when it's going to come, I know when it's going to end, I know how much I'm going to bleed. If you have super variable periods, some of the information might not be as applicable to you, but I still do think that it's good to get an overall sense of what the cup is, what it can do for you, especially maybe your situation will change in the future, you never know. So getting right into it, as I said before, I personally have the Diva Cup. So in Canada, I chose to get this cup because it just happened to be the one that was the most readily available. I was in Shoppers Drug Mart one day. I had received a recommendation for the Diva Cup specifically from my sister-in-law and thought, what the hell, I might as well buy it. I think at the time, so 2 years ago, it was about $30. I think now, I just looked up on walmart.ca, you can get it for just under $40. So what you get is this little pink carrying case, and then inside the case you get your cup. So it's pretty small little silicone cup, super bendable, you can squish it. Mine's slightly discolored, which will happen naturally over time, of course, with all of the blood that ends up being inside of it. I think that there is a way to get rid of all the discoloration, potentially. I think that it says on the website probably what you could do to get rid of it, but as long as you're cleaning it properly, a little bit of discoloration isn't a big deal. Like, it's not going to affect you. It's perfectly normal. The other thing that I personally bought with my Diva Cup was a bottle of the Diva Wash, which is just a little cleanser that you can use. It's supposed to be pH balanced. I don't know how much that actually matters, but you can buy it. I think I got mine for about $12 along with the cup, and I've had it since I first got the cup. Like, I should honestly probably buy a new one because this one's got to be getting close to expired by now. There's not much left because you do use it quite often, but you don't need a large amount, so it lasts a long time. So before I get into my review of the cup, I guess, let's just go over quickly how you use it. So if you are a tampon user, you would already be used to the concept of having something inside of you during your period. This is very similar. I honestly find that I feel this a lot less than I feel a tampon, or I used to feel a tampon. I haven't used one in years. But basically you take this tiny little cup, you squish it down in the center and fold it over like that. So it becomes pretty small, like I would say about the size of a large tampon. And then you just insert it this way while it's still all folded up. Once it's in, you let it go. So now it'll be fully extended, and then you just twist it a couple of times. So press it and twist it, and that'll lock the seal to make sure that it stays inside. And honestly, you'll wear this once, and afterwards, like, it won't feel weird. It does feel very weird the very first time you put it in. You're gonna be like, what the hell? I don't like this. I don't like the feeling. After that, it becomes so comfortable and so just second nature, because unlike a tampon that's like, it's constantly sucking every bit of fluid that you have in your body and leaves you just feeling kind of dry and uncomfortable, this does not do that. So it's pretty comfortable, it's squishy, it squishes around inside you, you don't notice, you'll forget you even have it in. You do have to empty it, obviously, which I'm sure a lot of people are thinking, but what do I do? Like, how often do I have to empty it? What if I'm in public? So I usually empty mine twice a day. I have in the past forgotten and emptied it once in a day. And I'm still here, I'm still fine, and I didn't leak. So what you do typically when you need to empty it, you just squeeze both sides, pull it out. It'll make kind of a weird suction cup noise, which might throw you off at first, but it's fine, it's normal. It's just because you're breaking the suction of it, like holding onto the sides of your vagina. So you pull it out, it'll be full of blood, and by full, I mean after 12 hours, mine's usually not even halfway full. If you bleed a lot, you might need to change it more often, maybe right before work, right after work, before you go to bed, etc. But I've, once again, never had a problem with that. So you take it out, you take it over to the sink, you give her a good rinse, you put a little dollop of your Diva cleanser on it, you rinse out the inside, wash it real well, make sure it's all soapy, and then I usually take just like a clean, lint-free face cloth, and I'll just gently dab it off, dab the inside out, and then you put it back in, and no problem. I've heard of some people buying 2 of them so that they can like let one sit and air dry, and then they use the other one. I think that it's not really necessary because you can dab them dry very fast. It's not a big deal. It's obviously meant to hold liquid, so if it's a tiny bit wet still, it's not the end of the world. If you do need to empty it in public, I have before, totally, if you forget to empty it before you leave in the morning, or you end up being out somewhere a lot longer than you were expecting and you feel like, oh no, like I probably need to check it. What I do is I just take it out, I pour it out into the toilet, and then I'll just use some toilet paper to like wipe it off, wipe out the inside, and then put it back in. And then right when I get home, I'll just make sure I take it out again and wash it. So at the end of every period, when you're done, you take it out for the last time, you've washed it one more time. After you wash it, I generally take a pot, clean pot obviously, and I'll boil some water in it, and then I'll just grab like a little pair of tongs or something, hold it, and just put it under the boiling water. You wouldn't want to leave it sitting right on the bottom because you might end up like wearing out some of the silicone, or like basically melting it off. But if you just hold it with something and leave it just floating kind of partway in the water, that will help to sanitize it. And then once it's fully sanitized, you take it and you put it back into your little carrying case. Obviously today, since I'm holding it with my hands so much, I'll want to sanitize it first before I put it back in here so I don't get this full of bacteria from my own hands. So it's a very handy product. I know a lot of people will probably feel a bit squeamish about it, like, oh no, I'm gonna be like touching my own blood, like what if it gets on me? What if it leaks? What if something happens? But honestly, I feel like it makes you so much more aware of really how much you're bleeding. It makes you more aware of like what the consistency is. And that seems weird, it can seem gross, but honestly, like, it's 2019, let's get over it, we all have periods. And for your own like reproductive health, it can be really quite handy to know like how much you're bleeding. Is that changing month to month? Are you like 1 month, do you randomly have like a bunch of discharge also along with the blood? Those kinds of things can just be handy to know. If you don't care, it doesn't matter. Just flush it down the sink. You don't have to look at it. You don't really have to think about it. It's very fast. It's not that gross. It's not like it smells or is weird. It's not a big deal. Sleeping, I've never had a problem. I've never had it leak when I was sleeping. The only leak I've ever had, honest to God, is one time so usually, like I said, I would empty it in the morning and then like after dinner time sometime, between like after dinner to when I go to bed. But I do a yoga class once a week. So I do a lot of other yoga during the week, but I do one actual class once a week. And we were upside down for a very long time. Like, I'm talking probably like 30 minutes straight, and like doing all kinds of different things with our legs. So it was, I wouldn't even say necessarily this thing's fault. It was the fact that like I was upside down with my legs so far apart that I did break the seal on it, but I immediately felt that, flipped back down, went to the bathroom, got myself sorted out. So like nothing leaked out. I just felt the suction break. So that's something to be aware of if you do a lot of really like stretchy activities. Like if you've got your legs completely spread, it might break the seal on it, it might not. It's just something to be aware of. I think that's pretty good though, all things considering, because even if I was up like that and I had a tampon in, like I could still leak from that too. So what can you do? One other thing to note, each one of the Diva Cups has this little piece at the end. So that's there just so that you have something to grab onto when you're pulling it out. I personally never use it. I always grab on here, squish it in, and use like that squishing motion to break the suction so I can remove it a little bit easier and so that it doesn't feel so crazy when I'm pulling it out. But this I found personally, so like I've actually cut mine. I don't know if you can really see, but it used to be about 2 steps longer than this, I believe, and I had to trim it down because I found that when I was wearing it, I could feel this like sticking out of me, and it would kind of like knot up in my underwear or like get stuck on my pants if I wasn't wearing underwear or whatever. And I just found that to be very uncomfortable. So I cut it back. Now it's the perfect length. Like I said, because I don't use this to pull it out ever, I could cut the whole thing off. That's just there for your convenience. So that's something like to keep in mind. If you do end up buying one and the very first time you're like, wow, this is so uncomfortable, like I can feel it sticking out, I hate that, you don't need it. Definitely, I think less is more. If you are going to cut it, like cut a little bit first to make sure that that is a length that's comfortable for you before you just lop it all off and then you're like, oh no, it's stuck, how am I gonna get it out? But like I said, it is pretty easy to get out just by pinching it. I apologize, I just realized how booby I am right now. I was just at a lunch, so I didn't feel like changing before I did this, but there's a lot of boob. So sorry about that. Yeah, but I gotta say, using this product has been basically life-changing for me. I used to honestly hate getting on my period because I just found tampons to be so uncomfortable. I hated how they felt. Like I always just felt like I could feel it sitting there, and I hated it. I also hated, obviously, some bathrooms don't have a garbage for you to put it in. It's terrible to flush them down the toilet, so what do? You don't want to have to carry your blood-soaked tampon with you to go throw it out in a trash can that's outside of the bathroom stall because that's awkward. So I found this to just be an absolute lifesaver. You also save so much money. Like you spend $40 on this and then $12 a year on more wash for it versus spending, like how much are tampons? I don't even know how much they are anymore. Like think of all of the things you could buy. You could buy more Gymshark leggings. You could go buy this adorable top from Lulu's. It's from my Lulu's haul if you want to see that. But anyways, I thought I would just share with everyone because I've seen that menstrual cups do seem to be getting a lot more traction online now. Like they used to be kind of a hippie vegan thing to do, but now I think people are starting to really come around to them, and I've heard a lot more people expressing interest about them. So thought, what the hell, I might as well share what I know, and hopefully it can help someone. If, like I said, anybody has absolutely any questions about them, how to put them in, how to get them out, my experiences with it, for sure, let me know in the comments below. If there's a different cup that you're thinking of getting, the Diva Cup is by no means the only one out there. There are a lot. Do your research. There are lots of tests and quizzes you can do to figure out which one you might want to get. And I hope you guys do end up potentially making the switch if it works for you. If you've had a Diva Cup, other menstrual cup, whatever, reusable pads, any of these different ecological and like environmental options in the past, let me know how you liked them. Let me know in the comments below. And As always, if you want to see more videos in the future, please subscribe, hit the bell to be notified whenever I post. I will have a video coming out next Tuesday that should probably be the cheap versus expensive leggings haul, so keep your eye out for that. And as always, I hope you guys have a wonderful day. Bye!